And look, it does a little thing. Because it's telling you it's starting. And then I'm actually see it over here. It'll tell me the stream health, streaming content, and then it's going to confirm live.
And we are live.
We are live. I'll let Xavier hit the button.
Hey. It's the final countdown.
Where do I have music coming from?
Some ad on YouTube. Likely.
Some ad on YouTube? All right.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, you know, they got you with the good ad action, you know?
Yep. All right. We are live. How They Got Hacked, episode 7.
Seven.
7.
Lucky number 7.
Yeah. I see someone already people jumping in the live stream here. And yes, I'm going to, we have it set up so we can cut between things so you don't have to look at us the whole time. We can cut back and forth.
Nice.
So I got that. And so Tom Lawrence.
Xavier D. Johnson.
Maurice Nash.
All right, so we got that covered. So it's live, it's working. We got 6 people already here. We're going to do a regular show, and we're actually, if this works out well, we're going to do it live all the time. Because it seems like a really good idea. One, tell us if the audio is working. Everything looks like it's working, but I've never hooked up microphones to a live stream. So someone comment on there if it's not right. Or if you have the video, just hit play on it and see if it does it. Anyways. So I make sure there's audio.
I'm using some remote.
System,
so
some remote system, so we can't do it.
I can't even listen to.
All right, we have people saying we're all good, so now we can actually get into the content of this. Awesome.
But hold on, before they ask, yes, I am using 2 laptops. My one hack top has a fan problem. It has died on me, but it has all the cool stickers, so I just put that on display for you guys while I use my other laptop.
And if anybody wants to fix said fan problem, we down for it.
Yeah.
You know, we may or may not be down for a fan fix.
Yeah.
Yes.
Actually, someone said the camera's off. Is it too dark? Because I'm actually looking at the screen and seeing it's too dark. These are all those first time we did it live questions, and I'm looking back for some audience feedback here. I actually think I can step the brightness up. One sec. I'll do that. You guys can keep talking. Because we got all kinds of fun stuff on the APT hack.
Woo!
Yes.
Do people know what APT means?
We're going to learn today.
There you go. You're going to learn today. Good old APT hacks.
There, we look a lot better.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of fixing fans either, Markimus.
There we go.
No, but I mean, sometimes you have to if you don't want to buy a new computer.
Which I'm definitely going to have to do because I don't
That
like
looks way
buying
better.
a
I
new
can-
computer.
Right? Because no one wants to buy a new computer.
All right. Look at this. All right. Maybe not level. No, it's, well, I think it's, I don't know. I'm not going to worry about the level. That is beyond me. We're crooked today. So the first thing I'll bring up is the Microsoft hack. Do you guys see this?
Oh, wow.
Microsoft hackers compromise support agents' credentials to access customer email accounts.
Wow.
And it was kind of an obvious, like if you, this is a TechCrunch article and it's 777 million emails, passwords dumped, blah, blah, blah. You know, lots of excitement here. But the reality is it sounds like it was just a really targeted phishing attack against the support side of Outlook.com. So this is not exactly a Microsoft compromise. And I think I've talked about it before. Microsoft does a really good job of operational security. I've actually watched some of the Microsoft and been to at their conference how they do things. It's tight. There's a reason, you know, you're not seeing Azure Data Center hack and things like that. I mean, they do tight operational security. And so it's a little surprising because I know this is an arm of Microsoft, but then again, this is the consumer support, so we're probably going to say some of it may have been outsourced or something like.
Or maybe somebody opened up a Word doc or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know as much like how related this is to Microsoft in terms of is this the same internal teams? You know what I mean? Is this probably someone different? But it's still a really one of those things that you're going to have that. You're going to get those. It's sad, but when you use free email services, this is some of the risk that comes with it. Maybe they don't put their best and brightest on it. What do you think?
Oh, boy.
And so one of those guys clicked the thing and then got in there. And it doesn't sound like they could read emails, but they did have the ability to reset passwords. As I believe that's what the article said. Reference it again. I love it. I can just press a button.
Nice.
See, we're sharing, so you don't have to look at us all the time so we can jump to the screen.
There you go.
Microsoft did, full disclosure, we're going to see, because they are complying with GDPR, EU data protection, did respond. So they have all the different divisions. Microsoft's doing everything by the book, covering when the breach happened. They have all the different threat phishing stuff. So it's just interesting to know that a phishing attack, because the part that confuses me that maybe I don't understand is two-factor. Like, how did they get around it? I mean, did they put their two-factor in? Is that how they got into the support people? I don't think I've seen that in the article here of exactly how they got in. So that's hopefully more details will be released. But yeah, definitely crazy that happened to Microsoft. They're not someone I associate with that level of attack. So, scary stuff there.
Yeah, it's not really a good sign.
But it shows the persistence on there.
Yep.
And from that, we'll dive into the deeper topic. Is this one here is the Taj Mahal. If you haven't seen this is I don't know, how upset is your stomach, Xavier?
So this goes back to what we've been saying about, detective controls. Detective controls, guys, you have to be able to detect if people are in. And that's not necessarily easy, but I think it's a must, because how long were these guys hanging out for, Tom?
Like 5 years.
Like 5 years.
5
Yeah.
years.
So the Taj Mahal, Kaspersky discovered it, and we started talking a little bit before the show, and I'm like, hold on, let's hit the live button, let's talk about this in the show. One thing about, Kaspersky, Russia, banned in the U.S., et cetera, a lot of us have spent any time with them, we're aware of that, but now we have Kaspersky, doing some really, the Asus hack we talked about last time, the Taj Mahal, this is advanced persistent threat. Everything about it is so advanced. This is not like some amateur created thing. Right. This has plugins. This has its own encrypted file system. This was undetected for 5 years that they found signatures on here. So you're talking about a major, super advanced system here. Let me see if I can zoom in on this page here. Like, it's just crazy. I am just blown away at the level of everything in it.
It's nation state for sure. It's safe to say that this is nation state stuff, and it's always so fun digging into some of these nation state advanced persistent threat type of attacks, because you learn stuff, right?
So,
like, who knew? Me personally, as a red teamer, I can't fathom being in a system for 5 years.
Me neither. That's a long time. That's a lot of reconnaissance.
Usually I'm coming in and I'm trying to get out.
Yeah.
You're right. As quickly and as quietly as possible.
Please.
So you have the modular ATP framework. Then you have the initial attack that is still unknown. They don't know how they got them there. Wow. The modules, the backdoor, PowerShell scripts, CNC command remains in the victim as a backup. 80 modules, encrypted vault file system, plugin libraries configuration, Hunt's documents, visual audio files, website cookies, can also take printer queue, burn CDs, and reinstalled sticks. Now, this is what's crazy. If they can gather lists, look at those lists on the USB stick and wait, and then put a command and control, say, hey, when I see that file that says the list of secrets, whatever the file is they're looking for, when it finds that file a second time, then exfiltrate it. And this is how you go into radar, because there's been a lot of times when you have hacks, and what these hacks are exposed by is mass exfiltration of data. So all of a sudden you're like, wow, my outbound bandwidth is completely peaked, and I can't even stream YouTube because I don't have enough bandwidth to stream it. Something appears to be dumping data. Right. There was a breach. It was like face palming. There was a company that did medical imaging. The reason they found about the breach was because not their security team, by the way, which loosely we'll call them security team only in title, not even in spirit. Their team that ran their operations at the data center was getting all these complaints and customer tickets open for slow access to the imaging systems. It was because they were exfiltrating at full bandwidth out. Like, they were moving terabytes of data of all these medical images out. And it was only when the customers complained that it was going slow that they go, wonder why it's slow. There's not even that many users using it. But there is a pipe going out to somewhere it shouldn't.
Somewhere.
So, yeah, that's one of those things, too. It's like, it's just one of those things. Like, you got to have this monitoring on there. You got to be able to watch it. But even then, this company knew, or whoever put this together, knew how to fly under the radar. They're only looking for the files. They're not exfiltrating them. So they're doing that it's really low bandwidth of a couple kilobytes, nothing to even trip anybody to be aware of. Oh, a couple kilobytes here. Oh, I got that file list. I don't want to extract all the files and sort them out. That would be great. That's like red team. Grab them all, figure out what's important, grab them all while you have the time, while you're in, before you get caught. This is that really slow persistence, and wow. It's It's a scary hack. It's so advanced.
And it's methodical, and it has to be nation state.
I mean, with all those modules, it has to be.
Oh, man, that is really, really deep. And so, do we understand, like, what they were after? Like, what?
And this is what goes a step further. When you dive into it, and I'm going to show the link over here, when you dig into the framework of it, it has an entire encrypted file system. So even with Kaspersky's knowledge they have of it in discovering it, they can't get inside of it because it's got its own encrypted file system. I mean, when you think about that, so you're covering your tracks really well with this.
Yeah.
So there's so much thought that went on there. The best news is, and because unfortunately security is very signature based, we have signatures, we've identified it so we can find it. The hashes are out there. And it's, like I said, hats off to Kaspersky again for doing this level of security research and identifying these files, creating the hashes, and putting it out there so all of our different tools can be updated and start finding out if, we've been pwned as well.
Indicators of compromise. Gotta know.
Yeah, so it's really tricky, but definitely... Wow, this is some good security research here. We're really happy. And it's one of those you didn't know how you're hacked. But then again, these people flying under the radar, would you as an individual even be a target? Would your personal computer? Not as likely. Your company? Well, here's the question. Does your company do government contracts or have something they want? They probably only, and this is one of those things they do, to keep this under the radar, they're only doing it on those targeted companies because they don't want it discovered.
Exactly.
Yes.
And, oh my God, I just had this conversation with a few friends inside of the MISEC Slack channel. And they're like, when have you ever seen any of these attacks? And I'm like, dude, I've worked at General Motors and General Electric. Like, they're government contractors. I see these kinds of attacks all the time. Like, they're actually people who are dropping thumb drives at the RINSIN. Like, it's happening.
Yeah, this is going on an absolute persistent basis. So, yeah, it's out there. It's not just, some Chinese visitor from Mar-a-Lago where it happens. Which I'm still trying to fuzzy on the details. I keep hearing conflicting stories. And I want the Secret Service, not that they watch this show, but if you are, come clean.
They may.
We want to know. Was plugging the USB in procedure because it was an analytics laptop to do it? Or was that
that's unusual behavior.
That's unusual behavior because that's what it said in the testimony. And I'm fuzzy. And I don't want to think badly of government because I know the government has put together some really, follow Darknet Diaries, actually episode Operation Bayonet. The government did some of the. Did you read that one? That's a great episode of Darknet Diaries. Operation Bayonet is outstandingly detailed on what the government did on a 2.5 years. Like you're impressed on the government side. They took down bad guys, so it's not like you're mad at them for falsely accusing someone. They did take down bad guys, which is exactly what you want them to do. And yeah, they were very clever. They were sophisticated as the attack they were performing. So the government does have operational security and at levels that are quite impressive. They're not the fuddy-duddy amateurs that were when Anonymous happened and the government themselves got pwned trying to pwn Anonymous. Like, that was a joke back then.
Yeah.
The U.S. government has really stepped it up. So I want to think that there's some cybersecurity training going on at the higher levels in the Secret Service that is much better than, I plugged it in. But then again, was he just the guy that, like, I don't know how this works in tiers at the Secret Service. Like, was he just the guy that they're like, look, you wave the wand around people, make sure there's like no metal detector.
It should just be a rule that you don't plug in a thumb drive of a person that you suspect.
But was he like the golf cart guy? Like, was he the guy that just drives the golf cart? Like, he's new,
the golf cart guy.
Even if he is new, like, don't plug in thumb drives.
Don't plug in thumb drives.
Please. Don't go work for the Secret Service if you want to put thumb drives in the computer. Like, that's just like that's a duh.
Because now that could have been the plan the whole time, to get caught and get my thumb drive inspected by them and deliver my payload.
That's an attack vector. You know what I mean? Get it on the network. Get it on. What's in here? I don't know. I'm supposed to check bags. All right. Well, thumb drive.
Not to mention misdirection. Right? Something else could have taken place while we detected malware.
Yes.
Man,
and so I like the point that it said he unplugged it quickly after he noticed it started sending commands to his computer as soon as he plugged it up. So that let you know it was a live computer. It wasn't a forensic computer that's usually offline.
Yeah, because
those purposes.
and especially when you're analyzing these forensically, because of even with bad USB, even a Linux computer can be at risk. But you take an offline computer, Linux is a little bit safer because most of these are going to be targeted towards a Windows computer with auto run and kind of the expected Windows 10 maybe less secure setup. Well, Linux doesn't auto run and it doesn't run Windows executables natively. Therefore, when you plug it in, excluding things like bad USB where you maybe could figure out an angle for firmware, you can forensically control the USB port and watch it step by step. Like you can lock it down, and you would obviously do this with an offline detached computer to do that analysis on there. So you're doing it in a very controlled, because that's not what they're expecting is a controlled environment. And even then, you're air gapped. So even if they completely pwn that whatever computer, cool. Right. So, yeah, such a thing. Let's see.
Nacho Cheese is hilarious. Why is he hiding his Mac behind the other laptop? It's okay, little fella.
It doesn't have the right tattoos on it.
No. You probably weren't here when I explained it. Yes, I do have 2 laptops. My other hack top has a fan problem, and so it died on me.
You ain't gotta explain
but it has
these
all
folks that
the
ain't
cool
got no real
stickers.
names.
It has all the cool stickers, so I put that one on display while I use my other hack top.
Shout out to Nacho Cheese, because that's a dope-ass name.
But I knew someone was going to notice, but thank you for noticing.
That's the best part about live. I figured I would throw a wrench in there real quick.
Throw it in there. So what's the next story you want to jump on? The Wipro hack.
Oh my God. Wipro? The
Wipro? Was it Wipro? Am I saying it wrong?
Wipro.
Yeah. Oh my God, Wipro.
There's some bad stuff going on here, so let's go ahead and pull. I got to pull up Krebs' latest.
Yeah, what's really interesting is that this was targeted at not only Wipro, but other people that are, consulting agencies like Cognizant, and this is interesting.
So, Krebs and Security has a lot of breakdowns, and I'm not going to play it in fear of some type of getting flagged on YouTube. But Brian Krebs even has interviews and a phone call with them, and you got to start with the title: "How Not to Acknowledge a Data Breach." So, there's a lot that goes on here. Now, the thing I really want to talk about, I'm not going to read the whole Krebs article, but trust me, Krebs is hands down one of the best security researchers out there, very, very thorough with his blog, and steps you through the entirety of what happened. But what's interesting, Wipro is an outsourced IT company, and Krebs also breaks down some of the other details that's important. So I think something was going on because they're being sued. I think it's Nebraska sued them for a botched IT install. There's a whole lot of fumbling around that Wipro did. And this is where I'll go a little bit not fact, but at least interesting basis. There's a few commenters and Reddit that I worked there, and they just were not solid with operational security. They let things go kind of loose. And this is hugely important because I work as an MSP. I work as outsourced IT for other companies, and companies like mine, mine's pretty small, and I don't have any DoD clients, so probably I'm less of a target. But these companies do. They do specifically outsource government work over in India. So and you can't crack the government because they have a solid system. They don't have easy systems to get into. They're well supported. But then you crack the people that support them. And that gets you your in. You go where the passwords are. Why do you rob the bank? Because that's where the money's at. Well, you can't get the money out of these companies, but you go to the bank. You go to the bank of passwords. You go to this Wipro.
You go to the sysadmin because he has root access. And, even PLOP is not necessarily the best practice there because, or principal at least privilege for all those who don't know what PLOP means, because as an admin, I need admin rights. I need ***. I need SU to be able to do my job. So if I get pwned and you have my keys and I don't have the correct detective controls set up to be able to say, hey, I know somebody is now connecting from a computer that they generally don't connect from.
I call that game over.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
0-sum.
So this is like I said, because Wipro has their fingers inside these companies, that's where things get really deep. They're they are doing the admin work outsourced, and this is also why one of my friends works. He teaches us, but one of the things the hospital did locally here, one of the big ones, they decided not to use any outside contractors because they posed a risk that they just couldn't mitigate. Right. They're like, wow, because ultimately you as the business owner, if you own a business, you are responsible. If you hire an outside firm or you have an internal security team, you are the one who pays the fine. And the hospitals, some of them have gone through a ruling of no contractors. They decided everyone has to be internal, and that's it. That's their rules. Because they don't want any persistent access by an outside IT firm unless they feel they can trust that outside IT firm. And then this is exactly what happened here. So this hack, and this is also where We'll read from Krebs here. Ballprom also claimed his corporation was hit by a zero-day attack. Actual zero-day vulnerabilities involve somewhat infrequent and quite dangerous weaknesses in software and or hardware, and But this is what really is probably not true. This is what Krebs is talking about, how not to disclose a breach. They don't think it was a zero-day at all. It sounds like it was just a basic phishing attack got them. So that's where these guys are trying to play it off. But now what's happened, think about the bigger perspective here. This company gets hacked. They have all these government contracts, one after another after another. You know how many compromises now are in question? All these companies. So how long were they in? And hold on, you got caught with a phishing attack, and you're an IT company that we were relying on to build infrastructure. How long were they there? And this is where we don't have a lot of answers at all. But wow, think about all the government contracts that now have to go through, and all these places going, all right, who uses Wipro? And there's 50 different people at Edmunds that states raise their hand across America going, oh yeah, they were kind of a preferred government contractor for outsourced IT.
Oh boy.
So now every one of those companies has a big question. Was one of these APT threats? Was the Taj Mahal, did it come from India, from an outsourced Indian IT company?
That's a great question.
Where did this come from? Wipro's been around for a while. This is just a disaster. I mean, this is top to bottom. This is bigger than a lot of, I don't see it getting the news press because I think it's a hard thing to explain on your typical mainstream media, because this is a hard thing to register with consumers. It's not something that it's not a media dark out, blah, blah, blah. It's not a conspiracy. It's just, this is a really hard thing to understand, but it's a domino effect is really my point. Once the IT vendor has been compromised, every project they touch, especially at least we know it's been for a few months, it could have been even for longer, every project they touch is going to be brought into question. They stood up a lot of government infrastructure. That all has to be audited. All of it.
And then who does the auditing? You already were under such
Xavier's
capacity.
for hire.
You were already under such capacity, such low with regard to capacity, that you felt that you need to outsource this. So now you're gonna hire people to come in and comb over everything that the last dudes did. And then also, what if those last dudes are still working on something, or they may be 60% of the way through with something that they were working on, and they didn't have good documentation, and you're ready to cancel the contract, and you may be losing work. It may be a black box. What if they literally, because a lot of consultants, I know a lot of consultants. I used to be a consultant. We thrive on black boxes. Here you go. You want it? You can take it. I have the source code in the docs. But when you can't run it, call me, right? Wipro could be in that exact same situation where they could have just been handing over black boxes, because that's what companies like to receive and consultants like to give. So this gets really icky really fast, and it seems like there's going to be some opportunities opening up here shortly.
Yeah.
So if you're in the market, it shouldn't be for long.
Yeah, and the government's got to, now they have to think about that. And this is, this goes back to, were you ever in the market in the early 2000s when outsourcing became a big deal for a lot of code outsourcing and things like that?
I was.
When I worked in corporate, that was a big concern. And there was this is before there's regular data breach, and I don't know what the statute is, so I won't say all the company names I was involved with, but this is the kind of stupidity that went on when we were working in corporate. You maybe if someone's going on my LinkedIn and maybe make some assumptions here, but I'm not confirming any of this. Maybe you have a large database that you check with customers for credit. Maybe no one thought about this in around 2002 when you're first building online credit application stuff to check so your customers can buy things from you. And maybe you took the production database and gave it to the outsourced firm in India, and you don't think to even redact anything out of it, social security number and all the other pieces of personal information. And maybe then they started using it differently because they realized the low bid they had to do it, the more lucrative was, we're not governed by laws that don't exist yet here in India. So now we can start using this data for, I don't know, fake credit cards and everything else because it's more lucrative than actually doing the contract, and it turned into a big disaster. Outsourcing has been a big pain in the butt, especially when you go to how do the laws apply to a third-party company that's external. Wipro's big enough that they probably have a U.S. division for legalities and signing contracts. They actually probably have to have some type of presence here for legal clawback, but yeah, so this is where it just gets to be a disaster.
This is a really bad one, and it makes it. I don't know. It kind of excites me because as far as I can remember, Wipro isn't like an American-based company. Is it?
No, they're India.
So like, this is I don't want to sound this way, right? At the risk of sounding this way on live, I'm pretty excited as an American engineer who potentially could be picking up some of this work, right? You're going to trust me a little bit more than you would some offshore guy just because of this exact instance.
True.
I mean, not saying that just because I'm onshore, it makes me less, shady, but in reality, when someone isn't under the same scrutiny of laws as you, it's harder to sue them. It's harder to bankrupt them. It becomes much more lucrative and much more.
Yeah, that was it. And I dealt with that challenge about 2 years ago. Someone had spent a lot of money, but they went with lowest bidder. They went with overseas, and they were buried because the project wasn't going well. And they just trying to, they contacted us, and I said, well, this is kind of a mess. And it was a web development project, and I was like, I can't really, this has to be recoded. They were using 2 years. It was like 2 years ago that we were working on this project, but the outsource company was using really old PHP code to stand all this up. I'm like, this is all deprecated code here. Like, these are some major security problems you have with this. I can't recover it. I mean, they had like globals turned on, and it was a few years ago. I know they had global variables turned on everything, and I'm like, this is just poor coding. But when you go to some of these third party, it's not anything about particular because it's India, but when you're trying to find the cheapest and there's a bunch of people trying to do it for the cheapest, that doesn't necessarily mean you get the best. Yeah. And that's what happens with some of these. It's just unfortunate. It's not that I think there's some brilliant people there in India, but I bet they're not the lowest bidder all the time.
Right.
So.
I highly doubt they are.
Yeah, so that's my thoughts on the Wipro one. Like I said, and I worry about it a lot as my company. I see constant attacks on the software we use. I had my own little panic the other day, which was a false positive.
Do you want to go into that a bit? Oh, he's turning red. Look at that.
Live. Yeah, live. So Saracata got tripped, and it was a worrisome thing, but it turned out Steve was cool. It was Steve's computer that tripped Saracata, and it locked some things out, but it turned out completely to be the customer we were dealing with. Steve was trying to solve a security problem with the customer. They had just had a bunch of shady websites registered and stuff like that, but while I was doing that, I'd also looked at some of these logs, and I thought the two were related. It's my putting a relationship together. It didn't. There was a series of hex push requests coming in on one of my remote servers. They were just hammering it. Just coincidental at the same time these two things are happening. This is one of the reasons, I pull up pfSense, you do correlation real quick. I also, I've talked about, I haven't done a video on security, and you start trying to see if there's any correlation between these connections and this connection. There wasn't any. And
detective controls.
Yeah, and then Steve, I messaged Steve, and he didn't message me back right away because it was because of the timing, because he was still doing support with the client. And he messaged me back, oh yeah, everything's fine. The client that website you sent me was because the client had all this stuff registered, and I won't get into details of the client in case they're watching, and I don't share any client details, but still, they had done some not good things. Whoever set their stuff up before we took it over was not set up right, so they were using some weird sites, and enough to trip Saracata at least.
Oh boy.
But that's the thing. That's why I have those tools on there, and it's also, I tell people who want to run Saracata is not a set it and forget it, because if you set it and forget it, just blocks and locks out, and it may break good things, and it's also, you have to kind of still do analysis on it. Humans still have to get involved. I'm going to be covering, and we use our own tools that we sell, like Huntress Labs, that's loaded on the computer that Steve was using to do the admin, which, by the way, I'm setting up an interview for them. So
sweet.
He's a hacker, so the guy, he's good. That's gonna be. I'm excited about that coming up. So
sweet. I want to address the question that actually came through from Robert Odom. It says, if you could give advice for those in IT help desk roles that may want to go into security. I was thinking about cloud security cert eventually. I don't know exactly who that's aimed at, but I'll give my 2 cents. I'm always happy to try and drag people into cybersecurity. So, I would say practice capture the flag. Join Hack the Box.
Hackthebox.eu. Hackthebox.eu. I'm gonna type that in here.
Virtualhackinglabs.com. And I don't get paid by any of these people, so I'm not giving out like promos or referral codes or anything weird like that. Those two I can tell you immediately will take you from 0 to 1. And if you want to go from 1 to 2, I will recommend going for your OSCP or your GPIN. And the GPIN is not really cheap. So if you're working an IT help desk role, it may be beneficial for you to go ahead and try and get your OSCP after you've done enough CTF to feel comfortable, right? Beyond that, get involved with your local community. come out to DC 313 or DC, enter your zip code or area code here. All right. So, go to these conferences, meet people. Don't be ashamed to say that you don't understand things, and keep that curiosity and alive, and actually exercise it. Right. So, there's ways to get in. It's hard, especially depending on where you are in your journey, right? So IT help desk to go straight to security, you're gonna have to really show some cool moves, I guess is the best way to put it. Yeah. But I mean, to get into a role maybe that's less directly, going straight after pen testing or bugs or something like that, maybe moving from help desk to maybe SOC engineer, right? SOC engineer, where you're starting to do incident response and then maybe moving into threat hunting and kind of understanding the life cycle of, the life cycle of vulnerability. I think is something that would be super important to someone who is looking to get into cybersecurity in general. So those are my 2 cents. Mo, I've been actually mentoring and getting more involved in cybersecurity, so he has a really good perspectives on it. So I'll give him the floor.
I mean, I've been using hackthebox.eu. It's pretty good, learning system to teach you how to not only get into machines but navigate through them. VHL I'm using in preparation to take the OSCP. It's a pretty good program. Also, I definitely would recommend VHL for anyone who may not have as much prior experience to rooting machines. It has great coursework. It is very thorough. And I'm not getting paid by them either, so this is just from my experience.
Yeah, the opposite.
Right.
So yeah, I would definitely. That's great advice. I would try those two to get you in a direction. Like always, get involved with the community, with the security community, and just network and meet people.
Yeah, one of the things, and this is one of the things, our passion was sharing all the knowledge we have on here. Mm-hmm. Someone said, I think in the last one, that we were pompous or something like that, or full of ourselves. But honestly, I don't think that's the right perspective. Like, we love sharing knowledge. Yes. I like sharing knowledge. My YouTube channel has like almost 800 videos on it of me just dumping knowledge on YouTube. We like sharing this. You come to DC 313, it's funny. I brought my son for a few minutes last one. First thing, Xavier sees my son, he hands him a lockpicking kit. Like, that's how we all are. We want everyone to learn. We want people to get better at this. We're not.
And at the end of the day, he picked a lock. And when I saw him today, when I walked in, he goes, "I know you. You gave me a lock to pick."
Yeah, exactly. That's the attitude you'll find in the hacking community. It's why it's a community that I always been the most comfortable in. Yeah. The Linux community, hacking community, there's a big crossover there. Because I get this question, this comes up in the forums, like, "Hey, what conferences do you go to?" And honestly, IT conferences interest me very, very little because they're always business and they're always like, "Oh yeah, sign up for my service, resell my brand, and I'll go to my training class for $29.95, buy my book and blah blah." Versus hackers, like, what can I dump? What knowledge can I dump? Want to see this cool thing I'm working on? Yeah. You get this very less formal, very open community. And if you say you're new, we're like, well, where do you want to start? You want to pick a lock? You want to hack a cloud? That's the community is very open and sharing, and we're part of it, and we enjoy it. It's where and that's what this is all about. This whole videos and things we put out there is we want to share all this with people. Mm-hmm. So. That's and I will throw out there that I didn't mention. I think it's Live Overflow. I think they may have his name right. His videos are great. He walks you through some of the Hack the Box write-ups and things like that. So
IPPSec as well is another one that does a lot of Hack the Box write-up. The moment that they retire the box, he puts his videos up. Like he does the videos before they even retire the boxes.
Yeah. So there's a couple of YouTubers out there that are very narrowed down, will walk you through. So go through their previous hacks, exactly how they step through things. And it's a time investment. You know what I mean? You got to put some time and effort in watching there. Sometimes I watch them at 2x, but dude, I'll sit there and watch those it drives my wife nuts. I watch them for hours on this stuff. And it's just, I want to get better. I don't know everything. I mean, granted, we're all going to brag a little because we've spent so many hours doing these things in firewalls, stuff like that. So, you get excited. You want to brag. You want to put your name on stuff. So yeah, we're going to be a little braggadocious about stuff. But honestly, we're all about sharing the knowledge. It's not like we don't want to eliminate anyone from there. Matter of fact, if you can learn everything we know and then get better at us, cool. We always hats off to those people. We love meeting those people that
I got a guy in the corner over here that I just met a few weeks ago at DC 313 and now talk to daily, and he teaches me stuff all the time. Yeah. Right? And he thinks that I'm senior to him, and I think he's senior to me. It's not necessarily about who's better or who's worse, really. It's just about being able to accept what you do and do not know. So I know things that he may not know, right? When it comes to corporate policy and, corporate politics, and he knows stuff that I don't know, like privilege escalation and finding 0 days and the latest Linux kernel, right? So be willing to go, okay, I just did Control-C on a reverse shell, and I made a mistake and killed the shell. And he goes, oh, yeah, you just do, Control-Z and then, TTY or PTTY, and this is how it all works, right? And you're like, oh, well, thank you, right? So, and I think that there's something to be said there with regard to cybersecurity, because the domain is so large that you should have a specific part of the cybersecurity domain in which you should just be an expert at. Like cloud security expert here, willing to say it. But like on-prem, I've never done on-prem. I can't tell you how your data center should be laid out, what controls you should have in place for your data center. How about this? I've never been in a data center. I'm a kid that grew up on cloud, right?
Yeah.
So
he's dealt with less, physical infrastructure. And that's why when you put together these bigger companies, you need teams of people. You need experts based on what it is. Even some of the consulting work we do, so people ask us those questions. We're like, okay, we have to have an expert on this particular thing. I will help some of my clients find an expert and a contractor on that. The security onion stuff, I'm not an expert on it. So when some company says I need a bigger implementation, I reach directly out to Security Onion and made the connections going, these are the people that stand up security onions in large environments and build sensors at 47 locations for you that you need. That is, I'm not the expert at that. That's what this person, matter of fact, that person does it all the time. Therefore, they're the best qualified to do it. The Security Onion has their own team. The product's free, but they do have a team to help stand it up. That's how some of these business models work. And so that's what their expertise is. And I'm even debating about hiring them. Like I've got it somewhat stood up, and I may, after I do the basics, may contract them myself to help integrate it more tightly into my network. Review. I'm not so proud that I say, no, I think I'm right. No, I want someone to review my work.
I mean, and when you even look at the panel of people that sit here, we're going to get off this topic pretty shortly.
Yeah.
But he does something drastically different than what I do, and he has a skill set drastically different than what I do. How much cloud stuff are you working on a day to day?
Not very much.
How much cloud stuff are you working on?
Not
but I don't talk to humans. How many people do you deal with on a day to day?
Not many.
Right?
Yeah. I do a lot.
He's dealing with people nonstop.
All the time.
Now, how many security questions are you collecting from social media?
A lot.
Right? And I'm doing none of that, right? So
more than you may want to actually admit.
Yeah, if you're 23 and one of the security questions is where were you, January 1st, 2000, we know you were at your mom's house or grandmom's house or auntie's house.
Yeah. There's things, there's different aspects to it, and it takes, you watch a red team. That's what they call them, red teams. Is you're not the red guy.
Right.
It's the red team breaching it, or red gale, whatever. It's usually a coordinated effort to do security research at a company. I mean, we had that speaker a few months ago at DC 313, but it's not like he just works in a vacuum. It's a coordinated effort. All right, you're going to go ahead and get me the social engineering aspect so I can have some intel on the people involved. So then we go from there, and there's a series of steps that get in there. Oh, yeah. Security equals threat mitigation. Yep. It's all best effort. I say it all the time about security. As soon as I hear a sales guy tell me, I'll guarantee security. No, you won't. Get the hell out. You're full of it. You're full of it. You're trying to sell me something. All right, let's jump to the next topic.
Let's get it.
App 34 hacking tools leak. So people may or may not have downloaded that.
Allegedly.
Allegedly,
there's a password floating around.
That's a good password.
Yeah?
I highlighted it right here. That's good entropy.
Yes.
I'm gonna be happy with that. Nice little password generator, but there's a lot here. So, wow. And my understanding is some of these, as of this show right now, might still be live. So, yeah, want to speak a little to that? Maybe someone who may or may not have downloaded it?
So basically, and I'm not someone who may or may have not, actually. I'm neither one of those. But I can say that, usually when these kind of dumps come out, carnage ensues. Remember Eternal Blue?
Yeah.
Remember those NSA? Hold on. We have Yardstick 1 because of the NSA playbook. We have Rubber Ducky, I feel like, because of the NSA playbook. What's the other one? Great Scott Gadgets, Hack RF, because of that playbook. When these types of things come out, us as people who like to make things end up digging into it and starting to spread it, right? And so this is the time where if you're watching this, you need to get aware of it. Look at what the compromise ends up looking like, and go on and put together some kind of threat hunting to be able to do indicator or compromise hunting today, right now, before the FBI comes to your house or to your job.
And so let's dig a little deeper. If you didn't recognize the name from, I think, our very first episode, we talked about the Iranian cyber espionage, because they're the ones that did the Citrix hack. And this is basically a dump of a lot of their stuff. But unfortunately, they didn't just dump the tools used by the hacking group. They dumped some of the logins have been compromised, it sounds like. So basically what you have is your command and control server, and you have the hacking group. They have their command and control servers, and then those command and control servers then talk to the companies that they have pwned. Well, they dumped the logins for their tools and CNCs and everything. So, yeah, very much confirmed. And so they have the details. Like the good and the bad is there's going to be better tools. The good is also they've now created signatures once again, so people who may not know they were pwned by these tools have it. So if only this would have been dumped. Oh, I don't know how long ago did Citrix get pwned? It was only about a month ago. Remember,
6 weeks. What? This is the 7th episode.
7th episode. So, yeah, if Citrix would have only had this signature information looking for it, no real details have come out. I don't know when the debrief for the Citrix stuff is going to come out, but that comes back, from episode 1. Here we episode 7 talking, about the Wipro, but it's the same concept. A tooling company that provides. Citrix is huge in the government space as well. And I think that's a lot of what was exfiltrated. And here's the hacking group. Now, the other thing that's going on here behind the scenes is going to be whoever dumped all this. Something angered them probably with this.
And they had a lot of information that they were holding down because they got down to the nitty gritty of identifying humans.
Yeah, they started.
This isn't just like leaking. This isn't someone just WikiLeaks leaking the tools.
Right.
Because WikiLeaks didn't go, oh yeah, and by the way, Xavier D. Johnson is the guy that wrote this.
Right.
When we seen Vault 7, we didn't have any authors of it. We suspected obviously it was NSA, but we didn't know even who or what contractors or what hackers the NSA had hired to write the persistence tools. Right. And this is very detailed. This is someone had a grudge and someone wanted to stir up the industry. So. Steer clear of these. It's
either an insider or someone with a very strong grudge.
It's those admin, I'm telling you, man, like systems admins, you got to be careful with those admin types, man. I used to be a Linux sysadmin, and I know some of the water cooler talk, bro. Like, you can't piss those dudes off. You got to be careful.
And because it's honestly, the hackers, a lot of them, that's back to the knowledge sharing, them sticking their name on something, that means a lot more than a bunch of money. When a lot of the times hackers have a day job that pays pretty good, software engineering or whatever the things they do are, the real thrill comes, and it's and this is one of the Darknet Diary episodes. Actually, my friend Phil said he really didn't like it, but it was the Hacker Giraffe one. I like that episode because it's some of the least clever hacking that happened. But the Hacker Giraffe, if you remember, he was the one that did all the PewDiePie stuff. And it's stupid printer hacks and things like that. Like literally what we would have called script kiddies in a day. Yeah. They're very low-hanging fruit hacks, taking over Chromecasts and things, really dumb stuff. But what he really talks about in a very personal interview, he still has remained anonymous of actually who the Hacker Giraffe is, and he shut down the account. But he got thrilled, the rush of doing it, the rush of coming up with a pseudonym, the Hacker Giraffe, and then having your name in the news, all the news, like, all these Chromecasts that he sent stupid PewDiePie videos to, all these printers, thousands of printers that he sent print jobs to, all with his name on it. There's an excitement level, and he talks about that. Like, there is a thrill for it. It's nefarious. It's childish, I know.
Notoriety.
But it's still
like a graffiti artist.
It's like a graffiti artist when they do something.
Gotta get up. That's like the number one goal. It's like, let's get the highest point in the city and write something on it.
Yeah. So it's the same mentality of it, and you just want your name in lights. So some of those hackers are driven by that. So that's also why they can be scary to burn, because they don't care. They probably could have sold this data for a ton of money. Yes. They could have handed over whatever App34 has. They could have probably called one of the brokers that broker in this data and like, hey, I'll sell all these command and control servers and things like that. They would have paid a fortune for it.
You want a foothold? I have footholds for sale.
Yeah, right? Footholds for sale and stuff like that.
That's
a thing that's sold on the dark web all the time. They go, nah, internet, you can have it. Screw whoever was made me mad today. I don't care. Burn them bridges, light it on fire, set it all ablaze.
Anarchist style, salt the earth.
So, yeah. So that's interesting how all that broke down, and we were fascinated by it. And but I think that's what we have for today. Is there any questions the audience, 114 people, have for us?
Are we really going to skip over the Weather Channel hack?
Oh my God! How many nines do they have now?
We have to talk about the weather.
Here's a challenge for you. I want you to go and calculate how many nines now the Weather Channel have in comparative to this time last year, because I guarantee you it won't be 5. Not with the 90-minute service outage.
We are referring to uptime, obviously, if you didn't catch that.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, they might not know what that is.
Weather Channel. So what I seen it, and hold on.
It's pretty rough. It's a rough one, right? So when this first happened, it was interesting because, you know, in today's society, when things go offline randomly that they aren't supposed to, people panic ensues.
Right.
So when I first found out about this, it was on Facebook, but it was a live feed from a helicopter that was just looking at the Weather Channel. And like 20 or 30 minutes later, I'm like, what's happening at the Weather Channel? Why is this helicopter just hovering outside of it? And I go look, and it's like, yeah, Weather Channel's been offline for 90 minutes. And I'm like, oh man, like, who wants to take over the Weather Channel? Like,
I mean, that might be another one of those notoriety things. Just look what I did.
Ooh, did you get the trash file from the Gibson? You know?
I'm laughing because I think one of my favorite Reddit comments is, did they click on one of their own crappy ads? Because they do have some really...
That's a good one.
That's actually pretty good right there. Yeah, who checks it? I don't know. I don't watch the Weather Channel at all, but still.
I only watch the Weather Channel during hurricanes, and I'm guilty of this because I want to see people get blown around. Right? That's when I check it. When the guy's like, yeah, the winds are like 70 miles an hour and gust up to 90.
Yeah, there's definitely some. Yeah, I admit there's some. I like watching people fall on ice, but that's like
there you go.
That's a YouTube compilation. So
there you go. People versus ice.
People versus ice. I gotta admit, there's always some
funny. The Weather Channel has been running since its inception.
Yeah,
so
I mean, as far as we remember.
So to go out for 90 minutes?
That's a pretty big service outage for television. TV stations have SLAs that they typically stick to, and I believe it's in between 5 and 7 nines. I'm sorry, excuse me. 5 nines is kind of just like the standard de facto of what you don't want to go in. I think that 90 minutes used up about at least one of their nines. like this is a big problem for them because, like, well, if I'm a SRE, a site reliability engineer, or a DevOps guy, you know, like, where's my disaster recovery? Where's my failover? Like, where's my warm standby? Like, where's my high availability? What happened? I don't have enough insight as to what happened, but these are the things that roll through my brain if I'm the CTO, because it could have very well not been a security incident. Yeah. But then again, from what we heard, it was a security incident.
It sounds like a security incident from reading. So
the Weather Channel is integrated into a lot of products.
You know, the Weather Channel is interesting. I have a special connection with the Weather Channel. It was the second thing that I ever, not hacked, it was the second thing that I ever interfaced with, and the first API I ever used, and it was XML based. And it was 2004. I learned how to use XML. SOAP, I think, was what it's considered, and I think a lot of stuff is still SOAP driven. But and the Weather Channel's API may still be SOAP, as far as we know. But this is just a weird, like, long, long way about of a connection. But oh my God, like, how? I don't know. I don't know much about the hack. I don't know exactly what's happening.
It doesn't seem to be a ton of information. So.
I mean, was this like a distributed denial of service? Was this a ransomware? Was this a network misconfiguration that, you know?
Might be a 14-year-old script kiddie.
Might be a 14-year-old script kiddie.
Yeah. Someone typed admin and it worked. You don't know.
Basically. That's still a thing.
Yeah.
Weather bug.
There is a question someone asked. They said they want to know how many businesses are you securing in? Well, here's the thing, and we don't know. And I say that because here's an example of the client we're doing some consulting with. NDA. They will not talk about what they stood up in their stack. And a lot of companies do that, and let me tell you why. When you know what a company uses, especially a large company, and their stack becomes very public, you gained an edge. You know, all right, they're using this. And then you find out you're doing your testing. Like, my goal is to attack ABC company here, and I know this is security stack they use. So you stand up that same security tool, and you see what pokes through it. And you're like, I found the thing that goes through it. So now you have an attack vector. So you never really get because of that edge model, you don't always get a public listing of what those companies are using. So we don't have good stats on how many companies are using Cisco ICE, Security Onion, Alien Vault. We don't know what tools a lot of companies use. And even when I do consulting work with some of them, I never mention the name of the client when they have that rule in place when we do consulting work. Just flat out, you've undoubtedly done the same thing. Some of the back end that.
Yep, I actually it's very interesting. So General Electric, I can openly speak about this because we made our own. We literally made our own enterprise sensor grid, and it consisted of more tools than Security Onion has, and some of the tools that Security Onion has. And so you'll go from environment to environment in which people have wrote their own, and for better or worse, right? So I definitely want to make sure that you guys are aware of that. Like when you talk about large enterprise, sometimes those people have the resources and the know-how, right? The CISO is like, no, I want to make my own. I don't want to deal with Security Onion. Then you have medium on the way to large businesses that may be willing to make that investment. So, but yeah, what Tom said is very valid, right? That when I find out, I want to find out as much as I possibly can about my target. I'm willing to go buy hardware. This is one great thing I learned from Chris Roberts. Go on eBay. If you want to learn how to hack a train, go on eBay, because trains are getting decommissioned every single day, and you can just go and get those same parts from Honeywell that you need, right? Or just go get some documentation to understand how the system that you're trying to penetrate actually works, and call the companies that make the stuff, right? So it's very easy to hop on the phone with Honeywell and go, I need a part X, Y, and Z. I'm working for this contractor, and they're like, okay, cool, whatever. It costs X amount. Send the money and we'll send the part.
I'll go also as when it comes to operational security of your personal. So I have some friends that are DevOps engineers. They keep their flight plan secret. They make sure that their family, spouses, things like that do not post on social media where they're traveling to. They keep it very, very quiet. Very much on purpose. They don't, some of them because of where the locations of the data centers that they travel to, because if you may know where they work, but you won't know when their travel schedule is and where they land at those data centers, because they just keep things very, very tight. It's one of those things, no edges in there because of the secrets that they keep and the DevOps level of security that they keep. They just want to make sure it's tight. And it's one of those things, it's like, it's not super secret what they do as much as is like, we don't want to give them any edge. We don't even want an opportunity. So I never posted, hey, guess what? Guess why I'm in Utah today, visiting a data center, swapping out rack number 2. Like, there's nothing about that. He didn't even take his phone a lot of times, leaves it at the hotel. So it's not even, like, he's really... there's a lot that goes into it to keep it secure. So that's those things. You may not know how many people are running Security Onion or what tooling they use. Companies are realizing it's not a bragging point to say, we bought the best Kaspersky package or whatever package anymore. It's better to say, no, we keep it tight and secure. And I probably even myself give out too much knowledge of, I run Suricata, some of the other things in my stack. Maybe there's a couple things I don't tell you, but I probably tell you too much.
But be nice.
Be nice.
Don't you want to see us?
Yeah.
Be nice. If Tom's hair is on fire, we want that cool ponytail. I don't know if you guys have ever seen Tom's ponytail. There it is.
Yeah.
Don't you want him to keep his hair?
Ponytail power, man.
Be nice. Sheesh. Quit finger blasting his who were they hitting on your network?
Oh, yeah.
That made you freak out? Quit doing whatever that was.
Yeah, whatever it was.
That was
someone was hammering on my stuff, man.
Leave him alone.
It happens. I have a list of banned IP addresses.
I would love to get that list and just go troll them.
Go troll them. Go ahead. Well, you know what? So I've traced back a few of them, and I think I talked about it one of my Vlog Thursdays. But some of them are. One of them is an accounting office, only because I seen what's on their RDP sessions. One of them is an accounting office that's probably been pwned. I don't know if I could call them, but like their servers are doing some things. So they're just a jumping point. So trolling back, you're not trolling back at the hacker. You're trolling back at their jump point. The jump point's some accounting firm that's been pwned. So, yeah, you do what you can to tell them, and then they always tell you they're not hacked, and good luck with that. That's a different problem. I think we talked about that before. How do you get these people knowledgeable that they died to their computers? You're already dead. You just don't know it.
Zombie. You're a part of the botnet.
You're just part of the botnet, man.
Already.
What are you going to do? Any other questions? We've been going for an hour. I mean, obviously we could go forever, but at some point we all have other stuff to do.
At some point.
There's beers we should be cracking. It's 9 o'clock.
Send us beer funds.
Throw money at us and things like that. Buy shirts. Throw donations. Maybe we should set up a How They Got Hacked Patreon so people can just throw it out there or hire us and all that fun stuff.
We'll do weird things for money, like eat hot sauce, but it's going to be like hundreds of dollars, right? Like if you give me $500, I'll eat some of that hot-ass hot sauce that's on his wall, but only for $500 because, oh my God, my stomach is going to die.
Nacho Cheese wants to know if there's a Mastodon or Discord in the future. My problem with live chat, and it's the reason I run forums instead of live chat. I love the forums. I self-host all our forums. That way I can, control the data on my own servers and everything else. I don't have to worry about them going away. But I don't always have time for real-time interaction, but I do check numerous times throughout the day, my forums. So I always... maybe I'm old school, but I love the forums where you post in a forum, I reply. There's a lot of people. I think there's like 1,200, maybe 15, maybe longer. I haven't looked at one. Maybe 2,000 people sign up for our forums. So feel free to post in there. It's free to join. I don't have anything on there. There's no ask. I don't gather your email address or whatever. Use whatever email you want. I don't care. I'm not looking at them. I just want open discussion on there. So forums are a place for that. So I don't really plan on Discord or Mastodon. I just kind of like things. We discuss SMLR there. If you want suggestions or things you want us to cover, you know what I'll do is I will work on this week. I'll make a How They Got Hacked specifically section in our forums. We have an SMLR section for my podcast, so I can make that too. But just there's plenty of different categories. Post in there. I try to reply.
And for all those people that don't know what SMLR is, that's Sunday morning what?
The Sunday morning Linux reviews. So yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah. I'm on the forums. Awesome. Yeah. I do what I can. Like I said, chat's really hard for me. I don't know. I don't know if I want to go through trouble because I wouldn't be in there often enough. So yeah, I participate in chat channels. I don't want to have to manage one because then the other problem is it's real time. And if someone gets in there and is all nasty and you're like, want me to boot? I'm like, I'm busy working. I'm at a client. I'm not going to be on the chat going, oh, cool. This.
Just put a moderator in there.
Yeah, someone has to moderate it and it just becomes a constant, But I'm accessible on Twitter. I reply to my tweets. If you want to tag me in things or whatever, don't DM me on Twitter. Sorry, I don't always accept those. I'll look and decide that. There's too many people are like, what do you think which PF sense I should get? I said, that's a public discussion. That's not a DM. Don't ask me. Just post it in public and I'll explain in public. That way, because guess what? You're not the only person. Exactly. Like 30 people ask me the same question. Do I get the X5100 or do I go for the 7100? Everyone asks me the same question. Post it in the forums, or matter of fact, if you Google it, you'll even find a result in the forums for people asking that question already. So,
look, we just got beer funds.
Someone threw beer funds, man.
Thank you.
Beer funds, absolutely. Maybe what we'll do, we'll do live shows. We'll get the beers and the shots, and we'll do shots as people throw money at us.
Oh my God! 3 hours later, I'll tell you another thing about security. All right,
right. Get all the secrets out of us with tequila shots.
Right.
You gotta run AV.
You gotta run AV. It's all we're gonna keep saying by the end of it. We don't even know. Might even give up our own passwords by the end of it.
Right.
What version of DOS should I run?
5.
5. That was the best one, man. 6.2 wasn't really there. And 6.2, no, seriously, that's when they started integrating the compression thing, and that's that whole, Bill Gates was being shady and took the code for the... Well, no, he took the code from that one company that made the compression tool and screwed them over. That was, goes back. We're talking about a PenguinCon. If you don't know, PenguinCon's coming up. So people, as I tweeted it, I'm going to be speaking there, and we may get an old school admin panel together, a bunch of us old school admins, and talk about the good old days and reminisce while we drink.
Remember when we
used to do those X25 networks back in 1992 and
remember the Morris worm? Yeah.
So. All right, I think we're going to... Should I let Xavier press... Look at the button where it animates. Isn't that cool?
Oh, yeah, it's awesome.
That's a cool
So, I'm going to...
Post it, and it ends the stream. When he hits the little button on this little thing here, it ends the stream.
See you, episode 8.
Episode 8.
It's been nice.
It's been nice.
Bye now.